What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for February 21st, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Happy Hump Day. It's a Wednesday edition of the podcast. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who was John Chaney's best player while he was at Temple? And for the most part, everybody was split between Mark Macon and Eddie Jones. The consensus was that Macon was likely the better college player, while Eddie Jones had the better pro career. Hard to argue with that. But being a Temple grad, a lot of my social media, Facebook, Twitter, is just adorned with Temple fans. So it was a good trip down memory lane and just having some fun naming some of our favorite players. For me, it was always Pepe. Even before I got to Temple, I was always also a big fan of Lamont Barnes. But we heard some people say that they remember Howard Evans and Tim Perry from the early days. Quincy Wadley got a lot of love. Allegedly, my boy's dad, who was a professor, failed him for missing his class for the NCAA tournament, which, if you know this guy's dad, that's perfect. That's exactly the kind of guy he was. Some love for Ron Rollerson, but it was definitely a lot of fun taking a trip down memory lane. And I'm not going to do what I started to do yesterday, but it's utterly embarrassing that here we are coming into March and conference tournaments starting, and Temple just has zero shot to do anything, and there's no hope in sight. But we can relive the glory days forever back when Coach Chaney was there. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. There will be another question later in the show. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the voice and text line. Leave your thoughts about the question of the day or anything for that matter. Starting to pick it up a little bit, which is good. Looking still for more voicemail so you can get get your voice on the show, and that will actually help us transition into doing some live shows. So just something to keep in mind. All right, I've been telling you for about a week now about Back to the Future. It's not retiring. I'm just sort of repurposing it. And last night had a great interview with Brian Michael, the producer of the A League Apart exhibit, talking about the legacy of the Negro Leagues in Philadelphia. Going to do my editing today, and that should, hopefully, I'll knock on wood, be up by tomorrow. I will keep you updated as I come on the air for tomorrow, but had a great sit down with him, learned a lot, talked some Negro Leagues, discussed the exhibit, and just where they see things going in the future. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can check it out at aleagueapart.org, and walks you through the barrier breakers and just doing a lot of good things over there. And I'm pleased to be a part of that and being able to sit down with him. To keep yourself in the loop, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Jimbo_Mott. Once we get to 100, it opens up many more doors. So let's get to 100 subscribers. And again, I keep saying it, but I know because I see the analytics. I know there's 100 people. So just go and hit the subscribe button. While you're there, time is running out. Buy your Girl Scout cookies from Ella. She is so close to 200 boxes. We're trying to take down some soccer moms. So go click that link in the description to get your Girl Scout cookies from Ella. Like I said, if you're anything like us, you're on your third or fourth round of Girl Scout cookies. So just go hook my girl up. Everything you need is right there in the description. Last thing before we move into the episode, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot is up and out to the media members, and people have started to return it. We're starting to tally the votes. You have a chance to fill out and make your voice heard as well. Fill out the ballot. Go to phillyhall.org/fanvoice. Fill out your ballot by March 8th. And if your ballot is the closest to the official ballot, you will receive 2 free VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. Come out, see me, have a good time. The ballot is pretty pretty stacked this year, so looking forward to that. So go to phillyhall.org/fanvoice. I will put the information in the description as well. Fill out your ballot, and if you come closest to the official, you will receive 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony. So be sure to check that out. The deadline is March 8th for that. All right, Flyers are back in action tonight after getting thumped up in New Jersey for the Stadium Series. They're out in Chicago to take on the Blackhawks. The big story yesterday, and I thought these were really cool, next Tuesday night against Tampa Bay, the first 10,000 fans will get gritty earmuffs. And they looked pretty cool, but the way they rolled them out was even better. They showed Gritty sitting in press row and during a Tortorella press conference, and he would put the earmuffs on when he would curse. So go check out that if you haven't seen it yet. But I thought they looked pretty cool, and the whole thing was just a genius way to market them. Sixers are off today. They return to action tomorrow against the Knicks. They signed Darius Bazley to a 10-day deal from the Blue Coats. Solid player. He's kind of bounced around the league, but averages 9 points, 5 rebounds. Good on defense, so hopefully he's able to get some playing time here with the Sixers while Joe's out and really help them move toward this playoff run. I'm very excited for them to get started tomorrow. And again, I haven't heard anything yet, but we should be getting an update on Joe's knee soon. And whatever you do, pray, send positive vibes, put up a candle, circle, whatever you need to do, that this knee is recovering the way it should be. All right, I mentioned earlier about Temple and just having no shot for the NCAA tournament and how disappointing it is. And I believe last year none of the teams from Philly made the tournament. This year, Villanova is on the bubble, so we're going to start a bubble watch for Villanova because I love college basketball, and the fact that my Owls are done will, I guess, hitch our wagon to Villanova, and hopefully they can get in. They're the only team that has a shot to even make the NIT, I think. Drexel might make the NIT, thinking about it. But, man, it's just a bad time from where we were back just 20 years ago. The Big Five, and it's just crazy how far we have fallen. But Nova had a big win yesterday against Butler. They're squarely on the bubble. Joey Brackets, excuse me, Joe Lunardi with Bracketology has them as the next 4 out. So they're right there. If they can go on a little bit of run, they can play themselves into the tournament. And it's amazing how accurate Joe Lunardi is, another local Philly guy. But we will keep an eye on the Villanova tournament chances. And we'll just do a daily bubble watch to see where Villanova ends up, because I'm dying for some meaningful college basketball, even though it's Villanova, and I know a lot of my Temple guys are going to give me a lot of shit for this, but I mean, at least it's still a local team, and Jesus, it's not like the Owls are even sniffing. I think they will have 2 conference wins. It's bad. Union. Yeah, let's just switch to soccer because that's how bad college basketball is. Union opened up the CONCACAF Champions Cup with a 3-2 win over Saprissa. Julian Carranza had a hat trick for the Union, who play in Chicago Saturday night to open up their MLS season. Tuesday they'll stay at Subaru Park to play the second leg of their opening round match here against Saprissa. So off to a good start for the Union, who it's kind of like a do or die season, I feel, for them, where they've just gone all in with the team they had. Basically, that's still pretty much the same team that made it to the MLS Cup final a couple years ago. So they lost. Remember, they lost the same night that the Phillies did. So both teams basically are running it back. So let's see what we got, and then go from there. Speaking of those Phillies, I have to say I like this, and I saw a lot of people complaining about this yesterday. But John Middleton, who is basically the face of the ownership group, had a full team meeting and went in and said, "I want that fucking trophy back. Go get it. It's time." And I really like that. Like, I mean, apparently he said something similar right before the Phillies went to win the World Series with Ryan Howard and those guys. But I mean, I like that. I mean, he's not afraid to spend money. He is willing to listen to them and get them the pieces they need to help build that cohesive clubhouse. So maybe that'll be something that rallies. But I had so many people and I don't get it. I mean, I like that. That's what I want. I wish Jeffrey Lurie would come out and say something like that instead of, oh, we're the gold standard of the NFL. And no, like, come out and say, give me that effing trophy. I mean, like I said, I like it. It would have been fired up. Apparently, JT Realmuto was fired up about it. So any little thing that's going to give this team an edge. And like I said, I have good feelings about this. We'll get more into it. I'm planning the Phillies preview special now that we've brought Back to the Future out of a semi-retirement. So stay tuned for that. But, I mean, let me know. What do you think? Do you think that what John Middleton said was good, bad, whatever? Let me know. There was a lot of legs yesterday, too, to the Bryce Harper story. I don't know. I'm still going to wait and see on this. I know people are saying that Harper's taking a big risk here, that Scott Boras is basically saying, hey, they love you in Philly. They're not going to turn on you. But if I know anything about Philly fans, they'll turn on you in a heartbeat if need be. So it's just one of those dicey situations for Bryce. But we'll see. I mean, he does have a point. I mean, he's helped recruit the guys that have gotten them to the World Series. But at the same time, you signed the contract and you still have 8 years left. So how this plays out, I think, how this season plays out, I think will determine what the next steps are for Bryce and his contract negotiations. But we shall see. I will say, going back to Middleton, basically they offered, and people can confirm this too, that they offered more money to the Japanese pitcher Yamamoto than anybody did. He just wanted to go to the Dodgers and play with Ohtani. So you can't fault them. And everybody was talking about how, they didn't make a big move. They weren't aggressive. Apparently they were. They couldn't compete with Ohtani and sunny LA. So, I mean, if you don't want a guy here, fine, don't be here. Last thing, too, there's rumblings and rumors, and I did see some people say they can confirm, but the out-of-town scoreboard in right field is getting a makeover. It's going to be all digitized. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I kind of like the way it was set up with kind of like that old-school feel. I haven't seen an official picture of it yet, so we'll see. But I don't know. I kind of like like I said, the old school with the bases, the ball, but everything apparently is going to be digitized. So I'll hold out hope and see what happens. But man, I really like the old school. I also was a fan of the big flip schedule board down at 30th Street Station too. So maybe it's just me showing my age. All right, Eagles had some news yesterday. They signed running back Tyrion Davis-Price to a reserve future contract, and it was the biggest and the best contract of anybody, which led everyone to believe that there was a ton of competition for him. He was a third-round pick in 2022 with San Francisco. Obviously, once they got Christian McCaffrey, didn't really have a need for him. It's one of those positions that the Eagles are light on anyway, so bringing guys to have some competition, I'm okay with that. They also signed a tackle, Darian Kennard, is what it is, but I think Davis-Price is the big prized possession of that, and we'll see how that works out. I mean, again, there is a reason why these guys get cut at this point in the year, but we'll see what happens. I'm a big believer, especially in training camp. You've got to have competition. So the only guy on the roster is Gainwell. So going to need somebody to get some reps in there. So why not Tyrion Davis-Price? I was hesitant to bring this up because this is what he wanted. But I have to mention it because this is now the national media, not necessarily local media. But Craig Carton, on his show yesterday said, "Oh, well, I know the real reason for the Eagles' collapse, but I'm not going to say." And it's something that would splinter any group of men, but I'm not going to go into details, which I don't know. I kind of, one way or the other, I mean, shut up about it then if you can't prove it. Like, there's so much speculation that maybe it was because of a wife or a girlfriend, financial situation. Like, there's just so many things that it could be. And it's like, and again, I'm guilty of it because here I am giving him airtime for it, but it's just ridiculous. Like, just stop. And then, like, Chris Sims just being an idiot, too. Like, these national guys. And, again, I get it. They're trying to get clicks and likes for their show. And the fact that here I am talking about it. Some of you may not even have heard of this story or are going to go look it up. I am guilty of it. But it's like, dude, shut up. Like, why? Like, you're based out of New York. Like, why are you worried about us? And, like, why are you not going to even say? But, again, a bunch of people from Philly probably went and clicked and watched his Twitter, went to his Twitter, and it's just ridiculous. You know what? It's not ridiculous. The St. Patty's Day gear from Philly Goat. Go check it out. They have the fans, or the McGillans, leather canvas loafers. I don't know why I keep saying they're leather. They're not leather. They're canvas loafers. They have the fans, which are the Fanatic ones, which you could also wear. Tons of Irish-themed Philly shirts. Just go check it out. You won't be disappointed. While you're there, get your stuff ready for Philly season. If you believe, get the Believe shirt. But go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off of your order. Time is running out to get this stuff in time for St. Patty's Day, so act now. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, today, excuse me, we are going to go back to 1996. And on this day, back in 1996, the Sixers lost to the Heat at the old Spectrum, the final year of the Spectrum, actually, 66-57. And yes, you heard me right. That was the final score. And it's hard to believe with the scores we've been seeing in the NBA that less than 20 years ago, we had a 66-57 game in an NBA game. And yeah, that's not like a halftime score or a third quarter score. That was a final. The 57 points was the least scored in a game for the Sixers, and that's dating back to the beginning of the franchise, all the way back in Syracuse, back when the NBA was in its infancy. That it's the least amount of points ever scored, and now you get that in the first quarter or first half a lot of times, halfway through the second quarter. Derek Coleman, Billy Owens, and Alonzo Mourning had 16 to lead all scorers. Coleman for the Sixers, Owens and Alonzo Mourning for the Heat. Vernon Maxwell and Jerry Stackhouse. Maxwell had 14, Stackhouse had 13. And then the next highest for the Sixers was 4 by Sean Higgins. Don't even remember Sean Higgins, to be honest. And Clarence Weatherspoon, more on him in a minute. The Sixers, if you want to see how bad it was, the Sixers shot 31.9% from the floor, 5% from three-point range. 5. That's not, 5. 0-5. 57% from the free throw line. It was just a bad game, and obviously the Heat didn't shoot much better. The Sixers that year finished 18-64, which only tied them for the third lowest win total in team history. The 72-73 Sixers had 9 wins. The 2015-16 Sixers had 10 wins. All of this, though, this season, all of the brutality, and I remember watching these games and just, I don't know why, led to the Sixers getting the number 1 pick and being able to draft AI the following summer. But, man, this was brutal. On this day in 1996, the Sixers lost to the Heat 66-57. 66-57. The Sixers with their lowest total points ever in franchise history. I don't think they're ever going to come close to topping that again unless they change the rules of the NBA. But, man, that was brutal. And if you're keeping score at home, and these are the little tidbits I like to give you, the lowest scoring game in NBA history occurred in 1950 between the Fort Wayne Pistons and the Minneapolis Lakers. The Pistons beat the Lakers 19-18 for the lowest scoring game in NBA history. There's your bonus fact on this day in Philly sports history. That leads us, though, to today's question of the day. That time period between when Barkley was traded and they drafted AI was just bad for the Sixers. But they had some likable players and some solid guys with ties to the local area. So who's your favorite player from let's just say 92 to 96? Who's your favorite player on those 5 seasons of the Sixers? I came up with a list of Dana Barros, who did make an all-star game, scored 50 points in a game once, had a great rap song. Told you basketball is best kept secrets. Look it up. That CD was phenomenal. Tim Perry with Temple ties, Johnny Dawkins, or Clarence Weatherspoon, who I don't know why. I believed in him, thinking he was going to be the next Charles Barkley, and he unfortunately was not. So tell me who it is. 267-495-8531. Did I miss anyone? I mean, you can put Jerry Stackhouse, but I don't know if he... I don't know. But was it Dana Barros, Tim Perry, Johnny Dawkins, or Clarence Weatherspoon? Who was your favorite Sixer from the 92 to 96, that post-Barkley, pre-Iverson range? 267-495-8531. I'm going to go reluctantly with Clarence Weatherspoon only because I believed he was going to be the guy. I was collecting basketball cards at the time, and they came out with, I think it might have been the year that Weatherspoon came out, because I think he came out the same year as Shaq and Alonzo Mourning and Christian Laettner. And Classic was the company. It was the draft pick cards, and there was a set of every player that was drafted. And I had his card, and that first year I have the whole set. It's down in my basement. Just was really into it. And I'm like, Clarence Weatherspoon's going to be the guy that leads the Sixers back, blah, 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 blah. Had a solid career as a journeyman, but it was never the go-to guy. So I will go Clarence Weatherspoon simply because of those classic draft pick cards. And if you remember the classic draft pick cards, hit me up on the voice and text line too. Like those used to always travel. Like there was always you had the ones that everybody had, the common cards. And I just remember trying to track down, I think it was Christian Laettner or Alonzo Mourning. One of them was just, or Harold Miner maybe. I forget. But it was very hard to get. We go to card shows, everything. And all right, I digress. But let me know if you remember classic draft pick cards and who is your favorite Sixer from the post-Barkley, pre-Iverson era. Barros, Tim Perry, Johnny Dawkins, Clarence Weatherspoon, or is it someone else? All right, finally today, our Philly Sports Black History Spotlight. We're going to take a look at Leroy Burrell, track and field star from Lansdowne, PA. He graduated from Penwood High School. While he was in high school, he was the PIAA champion for the AAA. Remember, they did the classifications different. Now I think it goes up to 6A or whatever. But back then it just went up to Quad A. So he was a AAA champion in the 100, 200, long jump, and triple jump. Also led Penwood to the PIAA State Track and Field Championship. He was a high school All-American and the Eastern Track Athlete of the Year in 1985. All of this, which I did not know, despite being legally blind in one eye due to an injury he had as a kid, went from Penwood to the University of Houston, where he was a 9-time All-American, set the NCAA outdoor long jump record. After that, he went pro and won a gold and a silver medal at the Goodwill Games in the 100 meters. Also at the World Championships in 1991. More on that silver in a minute. He is a 2-time world champion in the 4x100 and a gold medal winner in the 4x100 in the 1992 Olympics. He did at one point set the 100-meter dash world record at 9.9 seconds. I should have looked it up, and I will what the record is today. But he set that in June or July, and in September, Carl Lewis broke his record in a race, which was the World Championships, and Burrell Leroy Burrell set his personal best in that race at 9.88 seconds, but he pushed Carl Lewis to set the world record. So I thought that was interesting. Not only did he set the world record, but he would have broken his own world record if Carl Lewis just didn't have such a great race. Another local guy, by the way. After his professional career was over, he went and coached at the University of Houston, where he led them to many Conference USA championships. He is in the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame as a coach. He is now the head coach for Auburn Track and Field. He is in Houston Hall of Honor, they call it, not Hall of Fame. And he is a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Famer, former 100-meter dash world record holder, high school All-American, college All-American, Goodwill Games gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist, one of the best to ever do it in general, but specifically one of the best to ever do it out of our area. Seems like he was always getting bested by Carl Lewis, unfortunately. But I mean, those two guys pushed each other. The fact that you ran your personal best, which would have been the world record, you broke the world record. It's just you came in second place and somebody else had a better record than that is just phenomenal. So Leroy Burrell is today's Philly Sports Black History Spotlight of the day. Be sure to let me know who your favorite pre-Iverson, post-Barkley Sixer was. For me, it was Clarence Weatherspoon. All because on this day in 1996, the Sixers probably hit rock bottom for that time period, losing to the Heat 66-57, setting a franchise record for the least amount of points scored in a game. Just brutal. And yet I watched all the time, put myself through. I don't know. Maybe that's what we do as Philly fans. It builds a tough skin, I guess, or builds character, or maybe we're just idiots. Who knows? But that happened on this day back in 1996. Let me know your thoughts on Craig Carton. What are you thinking about the Phillies? John Middleton. Do you like what he said? Should he have just kept his mouth shut? I personally like it, and I would like to see more of that out of Josh Harris for the Sixers. I'd love to see more of that out of Jeff Lurie instead of we're the gold standard. Well, guess what? You need to get yourself back to being the gold standard, Jeffrey. That's what I have to say about that. Be sure to be on the lookout and subscribe to the YouTube channel for A League Apart, the interview I did with the producer of that exhibit, Brian Michael. Buy your Girl Scout cookies, fill out your Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot. Lots of homework for you guys, but I jotted some things down for myself to do for homework as well. So I will see you tomorrow. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourself some Wednesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.